I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the secret to a successful relationship. This is something that I learned about 15 years ago. The secret that I'm about to reveal was actually sparked by a conversation I had with a mentor of mine, and I'd like to begin this episode by sharing that anecdote with you. So here I was in my mid-20s, and I was complaining to this mentor of mine about the apparent lack of satisfactory women in the dating market. Basically, I was looking for a partner, and I was having trouble finding women who could meet me at my level, or at the very least, who could engage me in the sort of things in which I was authentically interested. And after all, wasn't that the point of a relationship? I remember telling this man that I wanted a woman who I could talk to about quantum mechanics, and who read Shakespearean literature, and who enjoyed wilderness backpacking, and who was interested in enlightenment and spiritual discipline. I mean, these were the things that I liked, so why should I settle for anything less? Unfortunately, I found that it was very rare to find a woman I was attracted to who was interested in even one of these things, let alone several of them. And after allowing me to vent my spleen for a while, this mentor looked at me, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Orion, why the fuck would you want to talk to a woman about quantum mechanics?" And this phraseology, of course, was very helpful in that it shocked me out of my pre-existing mindset and left me open to hearing his explanation, which was basically this. Look, if you want to talk about quantum mechanics, that's your right, I suppose. But find a guy to do that with. You don't need a woman to talk about quantum mechanics. You need somebody who's knowledgeable about quantum mechanics, which could be a woman, but doesn't have to be a woman. You understand? You're free to do what you want, Orion, but you should take care about what you go about wanting from a woman. And after hearing this explanation, it was like a light bulb went off above my head, and it inspired me to re-examine my approach to dating from a very different angle. And the angle was this. I listed out all the things that, up until that time, I had wanted to get from a romantic relationship. Things like someone who was my best friend, or who shared my intellectual passions, or who held similar interests, or who resonated with my core values, etc. I listed out all of the things, and I asked of each of these things one question, namely, could this need be satisfied in the context of any other relationship on the planet outside of a sexual relationship with a woman? And in the vast majority of cases, the answer to that question was yes. Yes, this particular need could be satisfied in a different kind of relationship. This could have been a professional relationship among colleagues, or a familial relationship with relatives, or a friendship with male buddies, or an acquaintanceship with activity partners, or even a moment of connection with a fellow human being. It could have been any of these things. And I made a decision right then and there that moving forward, if I could get a particular social or emotional need met outside of a sexual relationship with a woman, then I would get that social or emotional need met elsewhere. And as a result, I would only bring to a woman with whom I was interested in having a sexual relationship the needs and wants that I either could not or would not get satisfied in any other relationship I could possibly have with any other person on the planet. As you might expect, this dramatically simplified what I was looking for in a woman, from literally dozens and dozens of things to just 3 or 4 things. And this one intervention, possibly more than anything else in my life, has not only significantly improved my hit rate in meeting satisfactory women, but has allowed me to have satisfying relationships with radically different kinds of women as well. These things are set in stone and completely non-negotiable. But anything outside of these criteria is completely up for grabs. This allows me to consider the broadest possible subset of women who still meet the minimum necessary criteria for a relationship. If you appreciate the insights on this channel, I would highly encourage you to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Value of Others. Over the course of 432 pages, I delve deep into my economic model of relationships and explain the behavior of both men and women in the game of mating and dating. I also provide a lot of actionable advice on how to get and keep more of what you want in the sexual marketplace. Once you read The Value of Others, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Now available in ebook, audiobook, and paperback formats. The links are in the description. All right, so what were those few things? I'm so glad you asked. First and foremost, as might be expected, was sex. As a heterosexual man, sex was the number one thing that I could get from a female romantic partner that I couldn't get anywhere else. Just as I prioritized earnings in my professional relationships, as these were the only relationships in which I received income, I began to prioritize sex in my sexual relationships, as these were the only relationships in which I could receive that good. And this segued into need number 2. She needed to be sufficiently physically attractive to me to both consistently desire sex from her, otherwise, what was the point of the first criterion, and to prevent the feeling that I could have done better. Basically, I needed to be able to walk into the vast majority of rooms without feeling that I would rather have some other woman on my arm. And this is because I knew that I wouldn't be able to stay in the relationship long term if that wasn't the case. Sometimes you have to be real with yourself, even if your reality isn't particularly socially flattering. The third criterion was femininity. That sweet softness that is particular to women with whom you're in an intimate relationship, as it would be inappropriate for even that same woman to really lean into that dimension of herself in, say, a purely professional or platonic relationship. Outside of escorts, which I had made a decision not to use, I reasoned that these 3 needs could not be satisfied outside of a sexual relationship with a woman. However, my experience with dating women had taught me that these 3 criteria were not enough. I had dated several very sexual, attractive, and feminine women who absolutely destroyed my peace of mind and quality of life. So the 4th and final criterion was that she be inoffensive, meaning that the woman didn't create any additional problems that would detract from the benefit that I would accrue from the satisfaction of the other 3 criteria. Women, inoffensiveness is the key to being selected for a long-term relationship with men. When I look over my life, the women with whom I've had the longest, most satisfying relationships were not particularly impressive or superlative. They weren't the hottest women I had dated, or the cleverest, or the most accomplished. They were the least offensive. It might sound weird to say, but we stayed together because there was never any reason not to. That is, they satisfied the first 3 criteria without creating any unnecessary issues that would have invalidated the 4th. As I've previously mentioned, you absolutely must never disrespect the man with whom you'd like to have a long-term relationship. Disrespect is the unbreakable rule. But being inoffensive means more than just not being disrespectful. It means not being rude or withholding or unstable or envious or judgmental or complaining, etc., etc. Like no matter how hot you are and how sweet you act and how good you fuck, these behaviors cancel out so many of the other benefits that you may actually be providing. As I've said before, for a woman to love well, she must first clarify her love by removing all the other things that aren't love that are subject to getting mixed up with her expression of love. The fact of the matter is that in order to keep a man, a woman needn't be good, but she absolutely can't be bad. In any case, this was just the product of my own examination. You men out there can examine your own needs and wants and consider which of them can be uniquely satisfied in sexual relationships with women. Irrespective of the details, the advice is the same. Do what you can to get those needs and wants met in any other relationship that could possibly do so. This is because it will almost certainly be easier, cheaper, and more enjoyable to get those needs and wants met elsewhere. Doing so radically simplifies your relationships and helps you focus on what your relationships are really about. It also comes with the added benefit that if you only want a few things from women, it's going to be much harder for women to disappoint you. I appreciate that it can sound bad to expect less of women, but I do think this helps make relationships more sustainable. And I think it does this by approximating the way that intersexual relationships, including marriages, have existed for thousands of years. For most of human history, people had existed in extended kin networks and lived in small tribes or villages. People had meaningful relationships with scores of people. However, with the advent of the nuclear family and the dissolution of communities, we often expect our romantic partners to be an entire village, which just isn't possible. People used to get more of their needs met elsewhere, so there were fewer expectations for their marriages. Maybe we modern folks can take a page from our collective histories. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word-of-mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. And anyone looking to join my free weekly newsletter or book a paid consultation can do so on my website, links in the description. As always, I appreciate your support, and thank you for listening.